Hey kids, welcome to another Glenn Yaps video. This one is more related to drummers. Basically, this one is about the snare and hi-hat and getting volume from playing with a hi-hat and a snare drum a little bit closer together. So some of my students over the years, they see how close I have the hi-hat set up to the height of the snare, and they don't understand how I get the volume of the stick hits to be as loud as that I apparently to them get over other drummers that play with a lot more arm. The hi-hat's up here and the snare here. The most obvious is I don't use my arms that much. I'm kind of a lazy looking drummer when you see me play. It looks like I'm asleep half the time. I am not a show drummer by any means. With all the flash, I just never got into that. I'm just basically, I love playing drums. I'm not into the theatrics part of it. I mean, I can do all the stick twirling stuff, but it's just not me. It's just, I do that for fun when I'm here in my studio or practicing, just for fun. But when I'm doing a live thing, I'm totally dialed into just playing the drums. So I watch these drummers with the big arm throws and the big smacking, the big hits on the drums, and I just see, in my opinion, wasted energy. I just see it, no need for it. I come from a background of jazz players, and we rim shot. Anybody that's a jazz player or plays jazz like myself, rim shot is an easy way to get more volume out of your playing, and I definitely don't believe in the big arm throws for trying to reach stuff. I like to keep, in most cases, my drum set, all the cymbals and everything kind of at a low position, so I try to make sure there's no body stress whatsoever. Like when I come home after a gig, like I just did 3 nights this week, I want to be able to come home after the 3rd night and not feel like I have to go into traction, So I'm pushing 60 years old, and I don't want any pain for doing something that I really love to play, which is drums. I don't want to feel pain every time. So for me, I learned earlier on, a friend of mine, he studied in Toronto with some great players, and he came back and helped me out, decades ago. And the first thing he taught me was to bring things closer, don't waste the energy, and start using fingers. Wrists are part of it, but the main thing that he taught me was finger control for the sticks. So along with this video I'm showing you, I'll show you other optional videos of me actually doing the technique that I'm talking about. So I'm going to try and space this out just so you have a visual along with me talking about it. So bringing the hi-hat down close to the snare, like in some cases you're probably looking at maybe 2 to 3 inches in height difference. The odd time it might go a little higher, the odd time it might go even with the snare. But the whole idea is to let your fingers do the work, and on the snare, the fingers actually whip the drumstick, but the stick doesn't leave the fingers. So it's a motion like this, and the fingers are always moving, but I try to keep the stick always in around that knuckle right here, this last knuckle across here, and the thumb on top. I never, ever, ever, ever have the stick smashing in this area. When you see me play, it looks close to it, but never does it hit in here. For a drummer to have sticks hitting right here, you're almost guaranteed to have carpal tunnel after years and years of playing. And believe me, a lot of drummers in my local area, they've all had the surgeries. So I was conscious of this when I first started playing. It's originally why I started with traditional grip, but I like using both. There's advantages to both, but I was always conscious of not hurting myself. So same with tension right here. That's where you get the finger and a bit of the wrist. And you just, in my playing, I like I say, I follow a lot of jazz drummers, and a lot of their motions are circular. You'll see they're a really loose kind of groove with their hands and fingers and arms. When they do move, it's done in circles, and it releases tightness in your fingers, your wrists, and your forearms. This looseness. It's not like you're going like this, really stiff around the drums. You want this circular motion, and believe me, it relaxes the muscles. The fingers too. You just don't want to keep them tense all the time. Like when you're playing 3 sets or 4 sets of music, 45 minutes to an hour each, and you're doing a lot of fast songs, you're going to find tension builds up quick. So you have to find a way to play during the song and get relaxed. And trying to get circular motions happening is key to that. As for the low hi-hat, the other advantages, you're not digging the side of the stick into the hi-hats as much. You're able to do accents like that just by dropping the hand a bit. Still using the fingers, but you can also switch to left hand. I play left hand on the hi-hat quite a bit. So with it low, there's not really a massive change in height from this hand to this hand. The hi-hat's really up there, like some of the rock players I see around town. The problem is when you start going up here with a higher hi-hat, you're bringing this up like this, and you don't want that. There's wasted energy. Like right now, I can feel I got to hold my arm up to try and hit this hi-hat like this. Now, obviously, I'm not sitting at a drum set to demonstrate this to you, but like I say, I want to just put these, lay these out vocally, and then have some of the examples thrown in after. So again, wasted energy. This doesn't have to be like this, playing left hand hi-hat. You want it down like this. You want it almost in the hand shaking motion for both, right? So that is key. So as for me getting the volume with less arm swing, you'll see a lot of drummers play that way. They keep those two really tight together, and they basically try to get their fingers and the wrist to do most of the projection, the movement to cause that projection of volume. And you'll find, in my case, you don't go through as many drumsticks, and you definitely don't go through as many heads with that technique. With the rim shots and stuff like that, you're really not putting a whole lot of force, like you're swinging a hammer. You're basically just whipping the fingers, with the stick, and it's just that short shot. Like, just think of a slingshot, pink, right on the snare, and It's just worked for me for decades. I was just happy to have learned that from the very start, because now I can buy a box of sticks and they'll last me 2 years. They wear out from just rim shots, but a box of sticks will last me 2 years. I've had box of sticks that last for 3 years at the most, and that's the Vic Verth drumsticks that I use. But it's just one of those deals. You have to experiment with it. Most drummers, when they come up and play my drum set live, if I let them play a song, the first thing that throws them for a loop is that hi-hat being so low to the snare. In fact, we had a drummer come up just last night, and that's again the first thing. They can't get power because they're confined to this small space to have the sticks react in. They're so used to being arm players that they're now brought down to this. Now I can do the arm thing, but I just find it's wasted energy. I don't need to have that, so why do it? If you're doing a show and you find that your arms flailing is like a great thing, that's fine. If you want to be the show drummer thing, that's fine. But we're talking the mechanics of it. Do you need it? No. In the long run, your body will appreciate it, and maybe your audience won't, but if they close their eyes, they will still hear the drums being forceful up front, and without you causing damage to your body, because you can only maintain the physical part of it for so long before your body starts to say, okay, that's enough, I can't handle that anymore. So, and smartly, I don't have that issue, so thanks to my teacher from decades ago. Anyway, so we'll show you some of that in the video demos that I add to this. And any questions, you can just message me on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll go from there. Thanks, folks.